Hello guys, what's up? This is AJ back with another video. So today I'm going to show you how to add a joystick control for our players. So let's go to Assets Show again. And let's type in joystick asset. And let's download this free joystick pack. Import. And I'm going to import everything. Just like the standard assets pack, we are going to be deleting some of these later on. But I guess we'll import everything for now. So import. So I'm gonna delete the third person controller from our scene because we got our characters and we're not gonna be using the third person character from the standard assets pack. Now I'm gonna add a canvas. So UI canvas, and I'm gonna set the UI scale mode as scale with screen size and reference resolution as HD resolution 1920 1080. Now I'm gonna go to the joystick pack which we just downloaded, prefabs, fixed joystick, and I'm just gonna add it to the canvas. Now I'm gonna open up the fixed joystick and duplicate the handle a couple of times. And I'm gonna move it to the right. Let's switch to 2D so that we can see the scene clearly. So 0, next, and I set it to the bottom right corner, and I'm just gonna maybe adjust the pivot here. -1, yeah, maybe 1.5. Yeah, that is good. And let's do it for the other one as well. Yeah, let's move to the bottom right corner first. X to 0, Y to 0, and position and width to 128. Yeah, and I'm gonna set the pivot to 2.5. Okay, and height to 1, -1. Maybe I'll do the pivot as 3 here on the X, and yeah, good. So these are gonna be buttons for jump and crouch. So jump button, and this is going to be crouch button. So unfortunately the joystick pack doesn't come with a fixed button, it only has a fixed joystick, so we're gonna need to create our own fixed button. So let's get to scripts folder, and here I'm gonna create another folder, joystick, and inside this I'm gonna create a new script. This is going to be a fixed button. Now let's open this up in Visual Studios. Here we are gonna need to add two interfaces, I pointer up handler, and we got some errors. So that's because we aren't using the Unity engine.event systems. So let's use that, and we're gonna also need a I pointer down handler. Now we still got these errors. This is because we haven't added the functions in these interfaces. So let's add those. So I think we can use Alt Enter to add those. Yeah, implement interface, and yeah, Alt Enter, implement interface. Okay, we're not gonna need a start or an update here, so I'm just gonna delete those. We are gonna need a Boolean variable, so public bool pressed, and if on pointer down, we're gonna say press equal to true, and if pointer is up, we are gonna say pressed equal to false. And I'm gonna add a code here to hide it in the inspector, because we are not gonna be changing this variable anyway. So from the inspector, hide in inspector. So let's just add a hide in inspector here. Now let's get back to Unity, and I'm gonna attach the fix button script to our jump button and crouch button. Now inside the joystick folder, I'm gonna create another C# script, and this is going to be joystick assigner or fix button assigner. Now we're gonna need this script because in our game we're gonna have a lot of buttons, like we already have jump button and crouch button. We're gonna be adding attack buttons, and maybe if we have a equipment and inventory system, we're gonna need buttons for that as well. So it's good to have all the buttons in one place, and maybe like in an array, and we'll be able to use that from our other classes by calling a method. So that's what I'm thinking. So I'm just gonna open up this script. Here we're not going to be using a start or an update, so let's delete those. But we're going to use an awake, and this is because awake code inside awake gets executed before code inside start, and we want this code to be executed as soon as possible, as soon as the game loads up, and that's why we are going to implement this in our awake method. Here we are going to need two arrays of fixed button. So serialize field, fixed button, fixed buttons, and inside our wake method we are gonna get all the fixed buttons available on the scene. So fixed button equal to get component of type, find object of type, sorry, find objects of type, uh, fixed button. This will get all the fixed buttons available on the scene, but this will be out of order. So I'm gonna need another array of fixed button, and I'm gonna call it fixed button list. Or fixed buttons list. And this is going to have a size, which is the size of a the amount of buttons we have. And right now we got only 2, but so I'm just gonna have the size as 2 for now. And here we're just gonna iterate through the fixed buttons and assign it to each position of our fixed buttons list. So for each fixed button f in fixed buttons, and we're gonna do it by calling the name according to the name. So you're gonna check if the button is having a name of gem button, and if so, we are just gonna assign it to the 0th position in fixed button list. If f dot name equal gem button, fixed buttons list 0 equals f. And let's do the same for crouch button, and here we are going to change the name to crouch button and the position to 1. Now we are going to have a method so that we'll be able to access these fixed button list from a different class. So this is going to be public, and it's going to return a fixed button array. I'm going to call it fixed button list, get fixed button list, or just get fixed buttons. And yeah, we're just going to return a fixed button list. Now we're going to need to add this to our characters. So let's do that. And if we hit play, we'll be able to see the buttons assigned in our inspector. So here in our fixed button list, we have a jump button at 0th position and a crouch button at 1st position. Now let's create another folder here, and this is going to be named player, and we're gonna add all the scripts related to the player inside, only related to the player inside this folder. Like we're gonna need a fighter script for attacking and everything, and we're gonna need a equipment script, etc. But first we are going to need a movement script. So let's open this up, and I'm going to add a C# script. This is going to be player movement. Now let's open this up. And here we are going to need a fixed joystick. Let's make it serialized field so that we'll be able to edit it in Inspector. And we're going to need 2 fixed buttons for jump and crouch. So jump button and crouch button. We are going to need a reference to a joystick assigner. Sorry, it was a fixed button assigner, right? So fixed button assigner, and I'm going to call it FBA. And here we're going to get it from a player. So FBA is going to be get component of type fixed button assigner. And the fixed joystick, we're just gonna find object of type fixed joystick. Let's move this up. So first we have the joystick, then we do everything related to our button. So the jump button is going to be FBA dot get fixed buttons, the function we made, and at the position 0. And the crouch button is going to be FBA dot get fixed button, position 1. Now we are gonna also need a reference to a third person controller. So serialized field, third person control. Third person character. I'm just searching what the name of the script is. So it is third person user control. And I'm gonna name it control. I got an error here, that's because we're not using the namespace, so let's just add that. Now in our third person user control, we're going to need another variable for crouch. So it's going to be public variable. So public bool m underscore crouch, and we're going to need two more public variables for h input and v input, and these are going to be float. And I'm gonna make the m underscore jump public so that we can access it from the player movement script. I'm also gonna hide these variables in inspector. Now I'm gonna delete these lines. We are not gonna be using these access or get key code.c for crouching. We are gonna be using our own variables. So let's hit delete. And here I'm gonna change all the v to v input and h to h input. And I'm gonna replace the crouch to m underscore crouch. I'm also gonna delete this if not mobile input thing we got over here, because I think that it might create an error while we are trying to build the game. Now I'm gonna go to a player movement script, and inside update I'm just gonna add a control dot m underscore jump equals input dot get key space, or if our jump button is pressed. And similarly with crouch, we're gonna need m underscore crouch equals input dot get button. I mean input dot get key. I'm gonna give it C or crouch button dot pressed, and for the H input and V input, we're gonna need control dot H input equals input dot get access horizontal plus. Here we're gonna use plus because H input and V input are float variables, and here we used or because both M crouch and M underscore jump were Boolean variables, and this is going to be joystick fixed joystick dot horizontal. And similarly for V input, it's going to be vertical, and here it's going to be vertical. So we're just assigning, we're just checking if keyboard spacebar is pressed or if the jump button is pressed. And if either is true, we are just gonna set m underscore jump as true. And similarly with h input and v input, we're gonna see if either keyboard buttons are pressed or if the fixed joystick is moved. We're gonna set the h input of v input up, and let's pretty much all we have to do to make our player move around with the joystick. So let's see if it is working. Now let's add the player movement script to both the characters. Yeah, here we didn't really set the controller, we just declared it. So let's just add this line of code here. So control equals, we're gonna get it from the component. So get component, third person user control, and that's pretty much all we have to do. So if we switch to Unity, so now we hit play, we'll be able to move around with our joystick. So that's working good. Now if we try to crouch, yeah, that's working fine, and we can jump. Yeah, that's also working fine. So I'm just gonna increase the jump height a little bit because I think this is too low. So I'm gonna stop the play and increase the jump power to 8 for both the characters. Now let's change the images used for this basic joystick and fixed buttons. So I just added these shapes in PowerPoint, and I'm just gonna save these as a PNG, save as a picture, and I'm gonna save it in a sprites folder. This is going to be joystick, and this is going to be handle. Now in our sprites folder, we got the two new images. So what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to set the texture type as sprite 2D and UI and hit apply for both these. And now we'll be able to add this image to our joystick. So images, I'm just gonna replace this with the new image. And for the handle, I'm just gonna replace it with this. So we got a cool looking joystick over here. Now let's change the size of our fixed buttons. They are really tiny right now. And let's add a cool image to those. So I'm gonna set them to 250 cross 250 and adjust the position. So minus 0.2 is fine for pivot y-axis, and for the crouch button I'm gonna set the x as 1.2, and for the jump button I'm gonna set it as 2.5. Okay, that is much better. Now let's give the jump button and crouch button some cool images. So what I did is I went back to Blender, and we got our character here. So I just saved it under a different name so that if we edit it here, it doesn't affect the original. I just selected everything and assigned it the color black and exported it and opened it up in Mixamo. Added a jump, search for a jump animation, and this is one I got. So I think this is cool. So I just paused it right around here, took a screenshot of this, and I did the same for a crouch animation and took the screenshot, and I'm back in PowerPoint with these screenshots. Now I'm just gonna add a new circle here. Maybe set the height and width to 3.5. 3.5. Now I'm gonna give this the color black and no outline. Now I'm gonna crop this with a shape circle, and I think that is pretty good enough. So I'm just gonna paste it over the circle and save this as an image in our sprites folder. So I just created a folder inside the sprites folder called UI so that we can have all the UI elements in one place. So I'm just gonna save this as jump button. Do the same for the crouch image. So format crop person image. Okay, and I'm just gonna have to cut and paste it over the circle. Save as a picture, and this is going to be crouch button. Now in Unity, we got the two images, so we're gonna set the texture type of these images to sprite 2D and UI, and hit apply. I'm just gonna change the default image on these fixed buttons. So this is gonna be gem, so I'm just gonna drag and drop this image over here, and this is gonna be crouch, so let's drag it over here, and that's about it. Now if we hit play, so I'm just trying to play around with these characters a little. The joystick is working fine, jump is fine, crouch is working well. So that's it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not already. That would really help me out. And smash that like button if you like this video. Good luck to you all. See you. Bye.